What up, everybody? Evening rant. Evening rant about anarchists and anarchists and Tea Party and propaganda and all that fun stuff. You know, I like to go freestyle on my videos, so forgive me if I ramble. But I just got done watching this documentary, and I can't remember the name of it. But I'm watching another one actually right now, and it's based on the same story, but it's from a different viewpoint, and they're on Netflix, and it's about this guy named Brandon Darby. If you're familiar with any of the movements, anarchist movements, or any of the that type of news. You probably know who he is. He was basically a leader of a group, a member of an anarchist group who turned FBI informant and ratted out his cohorts, and his buddies went to jail. So I watched this documentary about him, and here's how the story goes in a nutshell. He had these friends of his, and they were into making Molotov cocktails, and they were into destroying property, which I don't condone necessarily at all, but they had no intention of hurting people, but they had made these 8 little Molotov cocktails that were basically kind of like napalm, and the guy was working for the FBI the whole time. They ended up busting the guys, and then he goes on this all these TV shows. He goes around the nation. Now he's with the Tea Party. I mean, he was like a left-wing radicalist. Now he's with the Tea Party, doing speeches about how he saved the world from these terrorists. And it's funny to hear the stories from both sides, because there's always 2 sides to a story. And there's the radicalist side, that they weren't going to hurt anybody, that all they wanted to do was to stand up for the rights of the people. And then there was his speeches where he's saying that these people intended to throw them at delegates, at Republican delegates and police officers. It was all a bunch of propaganda and nonsense. The whole thing was blown out of proportion, and they had no intention of hurting people, but that's the way they made it look. And this is a homegrown example of how terrorist plots are made to appear threatening, when really it's just not threatening at all. But people want to believe, they want to live in fear, they want to think that everyone's out to get them and put their own people in jail. I'm not really, since I don't have the full story, all I have is what I've read and heard. I can't make a judgment call. Based on what I saw, since all we really have is these, documentaries or news clips, that's all any of us have. We're kind of at the mercy of each other to bring us the news. So we have people from both sides that are just fighting over what's right and what's wrong. And these stories like this are some of the smaller ones, the ones that you can actually see, the ones that are local, where you can see the people, interview the people involved, and see what really happened, and find out, holy shit, we're always being lied to. But when something happens in Iraq, or something happens in Bosnia, or someplace where, we don't have access, all we have is the newscasters, the people who are there, and those people are, paid to promote not news, but propaganda, once again. And this kind of leads me to, I guess, how do we really know anything? And it's the only way is to look at the way a person behaves, look at the ticks in their face, look at the way that they promote themselves and carry their ideas. Sometimes they're totally ridiculous, and they're so obviously ridiculous we can't even see it. One of the perfect examples for me is the idea that we went into Iraq originally for weapons of mass destruction, and everybody's been through this a million times. But then somehow the American people were convinced that we were there to liberate the people. So which was it, But people didn't question that. They didn't care. It's patriotic to stand by your country no matter what. And those of us who know what patriotism really is, know that we're not to be tread on. We're not to stand back and just watch things happen. We may not take action, physical action, but we're going to speak our minds and be heard. And there are a lot of us out here who really do give a shit where this world is going and give a shit where this country is going, but choose not to overstep our bounds, or should I say, put ourselves on any watch lists, because that's not a good idea either. And that's another thing, is once you get into one of these groups, you're bound to be infiltrated. So it's up to the individual to stand up for the rights of our country, of our people. We can't expect big groups to do it for us. And once again, we're left to fend for ourselves in a way. It's a good notion to think that maybe we could come together as a nation and, stand up for what's right. But the reality is that that's not probably going to happen. It's going to have to be an individual change. I respect what people are trying to do. Things like they call themselves an anarchist movement. Honestly, I try not to pass judgment on that, but true anarchism is not really related to any type of protest or violence, but it's an idea, it's a political idea, but there has to be a way to get there, and people get frustrated and they don't know what else to do. So they take violent action, and I don't condone it. I don't think that that's a valid path. I've heard people say that sometimes public destruction of public property or of corporate property is necessary, and perhaps it is in certain circumstances. But in the long run, I don't see it solving any of our problems. All of this just eats out of the pocket of society. There has to be another way, without taking our frustrations out and dumping over garbage cans and cop cars. But those people, at least the fact that they do exist and do, respond to issues like that, at least that helps to, the extremists help to, they help our government to step back a little bit and say, hey, there are some people out there who will step up to the plate, so you got to watch your back, kind of thing. But most of us just want a good life for our family and our friends, and we just want to be the best we can, and not be stepped on and tread on by a government that thinks that they run the show and tells us that they can spy on us to protect us, or that tells us that they can take away our rights to protect us. We'll stand strong and we'll make it through, and that's all we can do. Namaste.